Welcome to Perspectives on Neurodiversity. I am Christopher Scott Wyatt, speaking as the Autistic Me. Subscribers and blog followers noticed that I did not manage to release a podcast episode in November. I have assured those who asked that everyone in our family is well and there are no emergencies. Instead, much as I predicted in August, the fall of 2023 has been hectic. Normal life has made it difficult this fall to maintain the podcast, my blogs, and my social media accounts. I have no idea how other working parents with podcasts and blogs manage to produce any content during a school year. Trying to produce episodes, at least monthly, proved beyond my stamina. After months like November, I find myself envying full-time creators who earn a living producing quality podcasts, videos, blog posts, and social media. They have tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of subscribers and followers. Their podcasts have sponsors. Many of them have small teams or they outsource editing and transcription of content. And then there are the dedicated hobbyists. That's me, a slightly insane, certainly overwhelmed, and sometimes on schedule, hobbyist. Many parents juggle more than we do. I don't want anyone to believe I'm seeking sympathy or that I'm humble bragging about our family. I want everyone listening to pause and consider all the things each of us does. You might have those days when it seems you've done nothing. That's rarely true, though. You probably did what you could manage. If Susan didn't work from home, I'm not sure we could do everything we cram into each week. Both girls attend charter schools. Lee's school demands a lot of students academically, and school focuses on behavior and helping at-risk students. Of course, the schools are in opposite directions from our house in two different towns. Susan heads south with Anne at 6:30. It's a 45-minute loop to the school and back, taking the tollway. Several times a week, I receive messages that Texas Tags has charged us another $20 in tolls. It's a quicker loop to and from Lee's school, about 30 minutes. I handle the morning loop with Lee. In the afternoons, when I am home, I also pick up Lee, while Susan retrieves Anne. In August, I started teaching at Texas A&M, which is 114 miles from our driveway to the parking lot. The commute takes me through several small towns, complete with stoplights and 30-mile-per-hour speed limits. Apple and Google Maps claim it's an hour and 45 minutes. Maybe the maps don't account for stoplights and morning traffic. I leave the house at 7:45 on Tuesdays and 7:10 on Thursdays, taking Lee to school northwest of our house before heading east. I'm in my campus office between 10:30 and 11 a.m., tired and sore. My afternoon class ends at 5:10, and I'm home between 7:30 and 8 p.m. The drive home seems much shorter than the morning commute. Few activities trigger me as much as driving. Sometimes it's the distance that causes stress, but a short drive with a lot of traffic can be worse. The commute to College Station begins and ends with heavy traffic. About 90 minutes into the drive, I stop at a truck stop. My muscles are usually cramped, my back, neck, and legs ache. I often develop a severe headache. I walk about, use the bathroom, and then force myself back into the driver's seat. When I arrive in my office, I need an hour or more to recover before teaching. It's a great relief when I return home. The distance between home and the university also means I'm not close by if there's an emergency. On a Thursday, September 14th, Lee broke her wrist at school while walking between classes. Always an overachiever, she managed a sprain and a dislocation. I took her to the nearby emergency clinic on Friday. Then we went to the orthopedic specialist early the next week. For the next 6 weeks, She could not participate in swim, and her music lessons focused on theory. The injury was one more source of stress as she started a demanding middle school year. September had me doubting that I could teach and still function as a parent. It didn't get easier either. Everyone in our house was emotionally exhausted in October. The first week of that month, we lost our beloved Misty Kitty. Throughout August and September, we spent a lot of time and effort caring for Misty. We took her to the vet for lab tests. We bought various brands of cat food. It's likely she had cancer, the vet concluded. Keeping her comfortable and giving her attention was all we could do. Anne and Lee grew up with Misty. She adored them. Misty slept next to Anne on our bedroom floor when Anne needed to feel safe. Misty slept on Susan's side some nights. Her purr was a rumble. We will miss her. Susan had managed all the vet visits for Misty, including 2 that final week. She did everything a person could, including being there at the end for Misty. By the time November started, I was buried in teaching tasks that had piled up during October. Most professors I know teach 2 or 3 classes. Sometimes they teach multiple sections of a single class. I have been teaching 5 course sections this fall, each with more than 25 students. Though 4 sections were of the same course, each had its own online shell. Managing 5 online shells is not something I wish to do again. Grading, planning lectures, and more grading. Plus, there were administrative tasks and research projects. I have 2 academic papers and a book chapter to write this year, so far, along with at least 1 full-length scholarly manuscript I need to complete. Actually, I have 3 academic books outlined, but they hadn't been a priority until I resumed teaching at a university. I've itemized the girls' activities many times on this podcast and on the Autistic Me blog. Their needs come first, and they need their extracurricular activities. Both are Girl Scouts, and Susan leads their troops. Lee has swimming and music lessons. Anne has been playing basketball. There's something happening most nights and on most weekends. The girls come first. Then we have our extended families. Careers matter since everything costs money. Finally, after everything else, I try to post to the blogs and produce podcast episodes. If I only have a few free hours during a week, those are spent with the girls and Susan. Thanksgiving break was going to be my chance to edit some podcasts and update the blogs. Instead, our web server was reset on November 19th. 8 websites were offline. By this Sunday, December 3rd, I had restored the text content of all but our most complicated website. My immediate priority was restoring the Autistic Me, where the blog and this podcast reside. Once I had that working, I re-imported the blog posts and static pages to 6 other websites. 1 more website to go, and I'll likely work on that during the winter break. But I'll balance that alongside producing some podcasts I've recorded with guests. Podcast guests expect their interviews to air within a few weeks, not 6 months after recording them. One reason I haven't been recording new episodes is to allow myself time to catch up during December and January. I'd love to have podcasts in the queue for weekly releases again. This semester ends December 15th. My students have final presentations to deliver, and I have grades to record. Anne and Lee also begin their winter breaks that day. I don't know if spring 2024 will be less hectic. It might be busier. Busy isn't bad either. It means the girls are active in their sports, music, and scouting. It means I'm teaching full-time. I'd rather be busy than alone with time for lots of blogging and podcasting. Unless I'm being paid to blog and podcast, of course. My academic career seems to be stabilizing for the first time. I work with good people at a major university. The job isn't perfect, with a heavy workload and lots of time on the road, but I can't overstate the value of generous and supportive colleagues. I might not be on the tenure track, but I am on a professional track with reasonable security. The girls are doing great in school. They're enjoying their sports. We're busy as a family, and that's a good thing too. I'll still be producing podcasts in the coming months. I have a lot of blog posts to complete too. The Autistic Me isn't going away just yet. If anything, my family and I are doing better than ever. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Perspectives on Neurodiversity. Remember to subscribe to the podcast and please leave a review if you found the discussion useful. Don't forget to read the Autistic Me blog and follow my posts on social media. Look for Autistic Me as one word on Twitter, now X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Links to the Autistic Me on social media are included in the show notes. I am Christopher Scott Wyatt, speaking as the very exhausted Autistic Me. Thank you for listening.